Let's see about renal cell carcinoma, which is also called as Gravet's tumor. The renal cell carcinoma is a malignant tumor of kidney. Its origin is from the renal tubular epithelium. Age, this is most common in 6 to 7 decades of life, and this is more common in males when compared to the females. Coming to the etiology of renal cell carcinoma. First is risk factors, which include tobacco, obesity, particularly in women, hypertension, unopposed estrogen therapy, chronic renal failure, tuberous sclerosis, and acquired polycystic kidney disease. All these are the etiology, that is, risk factors for renal cell carcinoma. Next, coming to the types of renal cell carcinoma, there are two major types: sporadic and inherited, also called as hereditary or familial. So, sporadic is the most common type, accounting for about 96%. The hereditary type, also called as inherited or familial, accounts for 4% of renal cell carcinomas. This hereditary type, the cancer is usually multifocal, bilateral, and it presents at a younger age than the sporadic type, and it is associated with four syndromes. Let's see the four syndromes associated with hereditary renal cell carcinoma. First is von Hippel-Lindau syndrome. Von Hippel-Lindau syndrome due to mutation in VHL gene, von Hippel-Lindau gene. This VHL gene is a tumor suppressor gene, and this VHL mutation is seen both in familial and in the sporadic type of clear cell carcinoma. The second syndrome associated with hereditary renal cell carcinoma is the hereditary leiomyomatosis and renal cell cancer syndrome. Hereditary leiomyomatosis and renal cell cancer syndrome. This is an autosomal dominant syndrome due to mutation in the FH gene. The FH gene expresses fumarate hydratase. So, due to mutation in FH gene, this leads to hereditary leiomyomatosis and renal cell cancer syndrome. The third is hereditary papillary carcinoma, which is autosomal dominant in inheritance. Here, there are multiple bilateral tumors showing papillary growth pattern, and this occurs due to MET proto-oncogene mutation. And the last syndrome associated with hereditary renal cell carcinoma is the Birt-Hogg-Dubé syndrome. Birt-Hogg-Dubé syndrome, which is also autosomal dominant in inheritance. This occurs due to mutation in BHD gene, Birt-Hogg-Dubé gene, which expresses the protein folliculin. As the folliculin is present in all these phases, the mutation in BHD gene causes lesions of skin, causing fibrofolliculomas, lesion in lung, causing cysts or blebs, and renal tubules of various subtypes. So it causes lesions of skin, lungs, and renal tumors of various subtypes. So this is an outline of the mutations seen in different types of carcinomas. First is this is hereditary clear cell carcinoma. The hereditary tumors are usually multiple. The hereditary clear cell carcinoma and hereditary papillary carcinoma. Next, this is sporadic clear cell carcinoma and sporadic papillary cell carcinoma. The sporadic types are usually single, that is unifocal. Hereditary types are multifocal. The hereditary clear cell carcinoma is due to mutation of the VHL gene, which is also seen in the sporadic clear cell carcinoma. Microscopy: in both these hereditary and sporadic clear cell carcinoma, cells with granular or clear cytoplasm is seen in microscopy. Next is the hereditary and sporadic papillary carcinoma. The hereditary papillary carcinoma is associated with trisomy 7, whereas the sporadic papillary carcinoma is associated with trisomy 7, 16, as well as 17. Also, there is loss of Y chromosome in case of males. Both are due to mutations which activate the c-Met gene, and microscopy of both hereditary and sporadic papillary carcinoma shows papillary growth pattern. Now let's see about the types of renal cell carcinoma in detail. First is clear cell carcinoma. Clear cell carcinoma is the most common subtype of renal cell carcinoma, and about 95% of them are sporadic. Origin is PCT epithelial cells. As they are mostly sporadic, they are usually solitary and unilateral lesions. Genetic mechanism. This is due to loss of function mutation of the VHL genes, von Hippel-Lindau genes. The normal function of von Hippel-Lindau gene is to stimulate the cell growth and stimulation of angiogenesis by coding for HIF1, hypoxia inducible factor 1. Due to mutation in the von Hippel-Lindau gene, there is HIF1 mutated. So there will be increased production of pro-angiogenic proteins like vascular endothelial growth factor, platelet derived growth factor, transforming growth factor alpha and beta, due to which there is sustained angiogenesis. All this is because the HIF1 is not degraded due to mutation in the VHL gene. The next type is the papillary carcinoma. This accounts for about 10 to 15% of the renal cell carcinomas. There are both familial and sporadic forms seen commonly in papillary carcinoma. Origin is from the DCT epithelial cells, distal convoluted tubule epithelial cells. And the papillary carcinoma is multifocal, bilateral most commonly. And hereditary papillary renal cell carcinoma is not associated with deletion of von Hippel-Lindau gene. The hereditary type of papillary carcinoma is not associated with deletions of VHL gene. The most common mechanism is mutation in the c-Met proto-oncogene. The third type is the chromophobe renal carcinoma. This accounts for about 5% of renal cell carcinomas. Here there are multiple chromosomal losses and extreme hypodiploidy. Origin is from the intercalated cells of renal collecting duct, and this has excellent prognosis. Out of all the renal cell carcinomas, the chromophobe renal carcinoma has the excellent prognosis. The next type is collecting duct carcinoma. Collecting duct carcinoma is very rare. So it accounts for less than or equal to 1% of renal cell carcinomas. Origin is from the medullary collecting duct. There is no distinct pattern of cytogenetic abnormalities, but several chromosomal losses and deletions are usually present in collecting duct carcinoma. The next type is XP11 translocation carcinoma. XP11 translocation carcinoma develops in young individuals and is associated with translocations of the TFE53 gene. TFE53 gene. Coming to the morphology. First let's see about the gross. General features of renal cell carcinoma. Site. It involves any part of the tubule but most commonly seen in the upper pole of the kidney. And its size varies. Outer surface is usually basilated. Next is the cut surface. Cut surface shows solid, bright yellow grey-white tumor. This yellow color is due to the accumulation of lipid. Some areas of hemorrhage, necrosis and cystic changes are also seen. And the tumor is circumscribed, spherical masses with well demarcated margins. Venous invasion. One of the characteristics of renal cell carcinoma is the tendency to invade the renal vein. This is unique about the renal cell carcinoma, its tendency to invade the renal vein. Sometimes the tumor grows as a continuous cord in inferior vena cava and rarely extends into the right atrium. Next is the microscopy. First, microscopy of clear cell carcinoma. The growth pattern, there is solid to trabecular or tubular growth pattern of the cells. Tumor cells have clear or granular cytoplasm and are non-papillary. Shape of the tumor cells are round or polygonal and they have clear cytoplasm due to the presence of glycogen and lipid which are removed during the tissue processing. So they appear as clear cytoplasm. Special stains used. First is PAS, periodic acid Schiff positive. This represents glycogen is present. Next, oil red O for the detection of fat. These are the two special stains used. Next, the characteristic of nucleus. It is central and small in size. Stroma has branching vasculature and most tumors are well differentiated with little cellularity or nuclear pleomorphism. Next is the papillary tumors. The papillary tumors have papillary growth pattern and the interstitial foam cells are common in fibrovascular stalks or cores of the papillary projections. The core contains interstitial foam cells. The cytoplasm can be either eosinophilic or basophilic. Some bodies may be seen in papillary carcinoma. The stroma is scanty and highly vascularized. Next is chromophobe renal carcinoma microscopy. This shows granular cells in solid sheets and the tumor cells have prominent cell membrane, pale eosinophilic cytoplasm with perinuclear halo. So they represent some cells like this. Prominent cell membrane, pale eosinophilic cytoplasm with perinuclear halo. Next is the collecting duct carcinomas microscopy. Here it consists of nests of malignant cells which are separated by prominent fibrotic stroma and there are irregular channels lined by highly atypical epithelium with a hobnail pattern. So here the key point is the hobnail pattern arrangement of atypical epithelium. Next is the clinical features of renal cell carcinoma. The clinical features include costovertebral pain or flank pain, palpable abdominal mass, and hematuria, which is the most reliable sign of renal cell carcinoma. The renal cell carcinoma produces ectopic hormones and paraneoplastic syndromes are also common. Some of the paraneoplastic syndromes associated with renal cell carcinoma include polycythemia due to erythropoietin excessive secretion, hypercalcemia due to PTH related peptide, and hypertension due to renin. All these are few examples of paraneoplastic syndrome in renal cell carcinoma. Next is the spread. There is usually wide metastasis associated with renal cell carcinoma, and there can be three types of spreads: local spread to the perinephric fat, lymphatic spread to the regional lymph nodes, and hematogenous spread, which is the most common route of spread. The hematogenous spread most commonly occurs to the lungs, where it causes cannon ball deposits in the lungs. And next, the common sites are followed by bones, liver, adrenal, and finally the brain. So, this is all about the renal cell carcinoma. Thank you.